Just when you thought the expansion boogeyman was done doing his deal, here it comes again. More expansion dominoes are falling with the AAC and ESPN pushing that envelope once again. Is it so the AAC may become a Power 6 conference? Or are they trying to push possibly for the extinction of another conference? Stay tuned to find out. Guys and gals in sporting land, this is JPC, and I am the outlaw of college football, and this is and always will be, without a shadow of a doubt, the home of the common Joe and the common Sally, and the know even more so than all those media talking heads. Now, let's get right to it. Today, class, I'm going to jump in here and talk about the possible AAC expansion. They received 6 applications from 6 Conference USA schools, and as you can see, the trickle-down effect is starting. First, the Big 12 raids the AAC, and now the AAC looks like it's going to take on some Conference USA teams, and then probably have the Conference USA going after some of the Sun Belt teams until finally there's no longer a Sun Belt conference. Well, that'll break your heart, right? But anyway, getting right to it here, the 6 teams that they're looking at are North Texas, Rice, UT San Antonio, UAB, Charlotte, and Florida Atlantic. All great markets, all great expansion candidates for them. And I think ESPN is also pushing the envelope on this somewhat. As you know, ESPN got caught up in possibly trying to basically deep six the Big 12, and the Big 12 called them out on it. So they backed off of that a little bit. And they ended up flipping the script on the AAC and ESPN by going in there and taking 3 teams out of the AAC. So it sort of served them right a little bit. But if they go and they expand and they put these 6 teams in there, it's going to put them at a legitimate number of 14 teams. Eventually they might even go to 16 teams. So if they go to those 14 teams and legitimize themselves somewhat a little bit more, I think that especially when they go to the 12-team playoff, the ESPN could probably push this as another Power 5 conference, making it a Power 6 conference situation for major college football. And then with the 12 teams, they would probably also not get an automatic bid, but they would probably be pretty much in the mix and pretty much get a bid. Nobody's really given an automatic bid in college football yet. I say yet because with the 12-team playoff coming, I could see maybe there being some automatic bids thrown out there. But the Pac-12 may be the conference that ends up being affected by this most. And you're just like, well, how's that? I mean, these teams are all on the closer to the East Coast, maybe a few out in West and Texas. Well, see, the Pac-12 had a chance to do something. They had a chance, an opportunity, a golden opportunity to become the premier conference in the West. All they had to do was take 4 teams away from the Big 12, the surviving 8 teams, and that conference would have went away. And there was 4 teams in that conference that would have taken those invites, I guarantee you. They wasn't waiting around to go out and poach the AAC. They ended up doing that because that was their only avenue and because the Pac-12 left them breathing. And now they go out and they poach the AAC, and now the AAC is going to poach the Conference USA, and the Pac-12 is going to end up being left out, in my opinion, eventually, because the Big 12 is not through expanding. And I think that the Big 12, even if there was some kind of handshake agreement, I think the Big 12 is going to eventually go after 2, maybe even 4 teams from the Pac-12. If they go after 2 to 4 teams from the Pac-12 and those 2 to 4 teams come to the Big 12, I think you'll see USC, Washington, Oregon, and UCLA all getting together and leaving the Pac-12 and going to the Big Ten and being some kind of Western branch of the Big Ten. Now, I know it sounds a little far-fetched, and the Big Ten may not even accept them. Those 4 teams may end up having to go independent or even having to join the Big 12 themselves. And the leftover teams, the Washington State, Oregon States of the world, probably end up in the Mountain West or something. So this whole domino effect that started way back when Oklahoma and Texas left to go to the SEC has filtered its way down to this. Now, the Pac-12, in my opinion, needs to make some moves. Now, whether it's expansion or making some kind of real deal with the Big 12, not no handshake crap like they've been talking about with that silly alliance, but make some kind of written agreement that's not going to raid each other's teams, or they need to close off the borders of the Western Coast. Because if you don't, the AAC is being pushed by ESPN money. ESPN wants the AAC to be a big player. I'm telling you, that's bottom line. You're going to have the Big 12 come out there and get some of those markets, San Diego State, Boise State, or you're going to have the AAC eventually coerce those teams into joining, especially if ESPN gets behind them full scale like I think they will. So what the Pac-12 needs to do, if they don't want to become a victim and they don't want to be left behind, they need to close off the borders. They need to invite Boise State. They need to invite San Diego State to the conference. Maybe even Colorado State or Air Force. But they need to close off west of the Rockies, in my opinion. And that's all I got to say about that. If you guys and gals got any maybe other scenarios that may come out of this expansion, drop them in the comment section. If you think the Pac-12 might go away, or you think that the Pac-12 might actually get in gear and decide to expand themselves and maybe take a shot at the Big 12 again and go after some of their teams, leave it in the comment section. But with that, I'm going to get off here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.